Macca off to a nightclub tonight. Oh, did you see that with Rashford? Oh, here, lads. Imagine calling in sick for training on Friday because you were out in the lash in a nightclub in Belfast. I mean, man going around like a Poundland George Best, trying to make out like he's, I don't know, a superstar. You're no George Best there, Marcus. You're no George Best. A couple of things have come out over the past day. And by come out, I mean, look, written in articles by journalists. Good piece in The Athletic yesterday about the whole situation. Partly his wife, Ula, had to talk him out of quitting last year. That was doing the rounds today. The conversation that happened in November, everybody apparently inside that room knew by looking into Jurgen's eyes that he was serious about needing a break and wanting to rest up. Also, even though he'd signed a contract to 2026, the piece I read in The Athletic suggested that there was an unspoken deal that it would be 2025 when he left. Or not unspoken, but there was a year, it was a 2025 contract with a year extension on it if Klopp wanted it. But realistically, we were probably looking at 2025 for Jurgen to leave, according to that piece. And a few other bits and pieces around that over the last 24, 48 hours. And look, what gets me is, and nobody's going to change my mind on this. Nobody. I don't see the positive aspect of the timing. I don't see it. I don't understand it. It'll never make sense to me, and it'll never not be a distraction. More so than, I know that you can't conduct a search of the nature you need to in private. It's impossible to do that if you're looking for a manager. I get that. But I don't understand the timing now. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't like it. I think it's going to be a distraction. I think it's going to... I know everyone's looking at the positive aspect of it and that kind of the last dance scenario, but it can also be an easy get out of jail card for poor performances, or, you know, why should I play for you if, you know, I know you're here at the end of the season, all this stuff. I don't like it. I don't. I respect Jurgen's decision, of course, but I don't like the way it was put out. Why has anybody talked about Hansi Flick as potential? Because he's not good enough, probably. Frankie is number one. Like, there's a couple of things that I think people don't understand, or not understand, that's not fair of me to say. You can't just be a good football manager to be Liverpool Football Club manager. I know that sounds a little bit contradictory, but you can. There's a bit more to being the Liverpool Football Club manager than being just a good football coach. It's your standing as a person, it's how you carry yourself, it's your gravitas, it's your stance on certain subjects. There's a lot to go into the perfect Liverpool manager, like Jurgen is pretty much. There's a lot of other stuff that goes along with it. And Hansi Flick, to me, is just nowhere near the right candidate for the job. It's Xavi Alonso's job. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I think most of the media are looking at it. If Alonso, you even start to see that Bayern Munich coming around talking about already getting rid of Tuchel because they want Alonso. Alonso's the one. Go get Alonso. That's the answer to this question. And I know people are going to push back and say that he hasn't had the experience. Fair enough, but he's the guy for me, and there's nobody else is going to come close to being a good fit for me. I'm scared that we might be the next United, said Capelot Luca. We're in a far better structural position. There's a lot to be said about bringing in the right sporting director, and that's going to be really important. That's actually the one that I'm a bit more intrigued by, to see who the club do look to bring in as a sporting director. And I think the reason why I'm most intrigued by that is because it's almost like a secretive position to some extent, in that we could all have our say on who the best manager is going to be, but the idea of us all knowing who the best sporting director is going to be, that's a bit more of a noodle scratcher. I'm not sure about that. What about Gerrard? Yeah, what about Gerrard, mate? Steven Gerrard. I'm probably more qualified for the job at this rate than Steven Gerrard.